Hello. Welcome to I Am Wisdom with your host, Katrina Kavanagh. I Am Wisdom is all about the connection between mind work and energy work, spirituality, and finding easy, everyday ways to heal your life. Katrina Kavanagh is a qualified therapist and one of Australia's leading intuitives and spirituality coaches. Katrina will be taking your calls and bringing you some special guests. Settle in, relax, and enjoy the healing on I Am Wisdom with Katrina Kavanagh on OMTimes Radio.
Hello, you're listening to Katrina Kavanagh here on I Am Wisdom on OMTimes Radio. How are you going? It's a beautiful day here in Australia, nice and sunny. We're coming into winter, although we're having some nice sunshine today. That's very good. If I could do so, I would be bringing you this show out in the sun, with the warm sun on my back. However, I have to just be grateful to be able to watch and see the beautiful sunlight from where I am inside my home here in Wollongong near it's about an hour south of Sydney. I hope that wherever you are, whether you are in the Northern Hemisphere, getting ready for bed, or perhaps in the Southern Hemisphere, enjoying your Friday, or perhaps you pick this up as a podcast later, so you could be doing anything. You could be driving along, you could be going for a walk, you could be, doing all kinds of things. So wherever you are, I hope, and as you listen to this, I hope that this show will have some meaning for you today. So today, in a little while, we'll be talking about our topic for the day, which is decision making. And what I'm wanting to do for you is bring you a spiritual or energetic perspective on decision making. And, this is a challenge for all of us. I have so many clients and even family and friends who are really, they get so stuck when they're having to make decisions. That's me licking the honey off the spoon. Yum, yum. I'm having a honey chamomile tea. How delicious. So they get we all get really stuck. We all get really stuck when we're faced with a decision, particularly if it's important to us, obviously. And so, I have family, I have clients, I have myself, obviously, my family and friends and clients come to me and talk about this, but obviously I have my own experience as well. So it's prompted me to get a few tools in the toolkit going that I can utilize when I'm really struggling with a decision. So I'm going to be talking to you about that. But before I do that, I'd love to share with you how my week's been. My week's been, I have to say it's been very interesting. It's been, excuse me, I'm going to cough in my throat. I've got a little bit of a cold. I have, as I speak to you now, quite an earache. And just throbs backwards and forwards, comes and goes. And that's okay. That's just my body, experiencing something, and it'll be moving. And I believe it's healing right now. We all get things from time to time, and that's okay. But certainly, yes, that's what my week's been. And then also, as you know, if you listen to the previous show, I've been taking some herbs, which is all about, entering into a phase of healing for me, because I set the intention that the next little while in my life, I really wanted to engage in some healing. I have some experiences I'd wish to heal myself from, and, I'm a human being living this life, and just things that have happened a few years ago that I still think sit with me a little bit. So I'm wanting to heal that. And also, every day I work with people who have experienced trauma in some form. And of course, energetically, I pick up on that. I don't mean that their energy hangs around me, because it doesn't feel like that, but it just simply is that when you're bearing witness to trauma, even if no one is saying anything. I was sitting in session with a child, she's 9 years of age, just yesterday, and we're sitting there and we're talking about feelings and learning ways to look after our feelings and all that kind of stuff. And she's drawing. We're doing this really beautiful exercise that I get children to do sometimes, which is, drawing a circle, and then I get them to tune into their belly and talk about how their feelings can sit in their belly sometimes. And then I get them to draw, what kind of colours and shapes and textures do they feel when they really listen to their belly, and there's light listening and there's very close listening. And when you first start with a child, you begin with just some light listening. And then as you go further on, you do more concentrated listening. And so we were doing that. And as I was sitting there on the floor with her, because I always work alongside children, so they do their thing and I always do some drawing or something alongside with them. And as we were working alongside each other and just sort of reflecting backwards and forwards on the shapes and colours and feelings and things, I just can't tell you how privileged I felt, past tense. It was just beautiful, And then to be on the phone and, consulting with a client, an adult client as well during the week, and really hearing that the work I'm doing with them is making a difference. Well, it kind of feels very special, very special. I have all kinds of people that come and see me. I have, how would I describe it? Everyday people like myself. I have other people who are healers as well and therapists. They'll come and see me as well. I have, mums and dads. I have very highly successful people in their careers, and they're just finding their way with their personal issues and personal journey in life. And so, I have doctors, I have had some lawyers, I have celebrities, all of that. But, for me, I'm never really affected by, I'm curious about their worlds. It's interesting to hear, what is the life really like of a celebrity, or what is the life really like of, someone who works with intense pressure such as a doctor. But for me, I'm never really affected by position. I never have been really in my professional work. So I just am really curious about their being of service to them. And it's interesting work. I'm very, very privileged and very grateful to be able to do it. I'm very excited to say I've expanded my clinic. So I was working in Wollongong, which is an area here in a beautiful little cottage called Karoonda Healthcare. And I was doing an outreach further south down at Nowra, but I'm now going up to Sydney as well, to Bondi. So I wanted to let people know that I'm up in Bondi every couple of weeks on a Monday. And I have a couple of spaces there, although it's filling up quickly. I have a couple of spaces in the middle, in the early afternoon. So if you would be interested in coming along to see me, then you can also contact me there. Contact and come and see me there. So today's show is all about decision making. If you're anything like me, whenever I come to the point of having to make a decision, it can feel really heavy and it can feel really tricky. And sometimes it can be absolutely downright overwhelming, really, completely overwhelming. And when that happens, you kind of know you're getting in trouble a little bit, because your anxiety can go up, depression can set in, you can feel immobilized and stuck, and they are not pleasant feelings at all. So what I know is, I know that I certainly don't want to experience that for myself, and I certainly don't want people that I work with to feel that. But when I have a client come to me and they talk about being in that state, the first thing I get people to do is to just be still. Just be still. Now, I know that's tricky when you're frustrated. Just be still for a moment and be still and really relax into and experience the feeling of that discomfort. Okay, just for a moment. I set a time for them. We're just going to do this 2 minutes. You're in, feeling it, then we're getting out. We're not going to sit there for too long. I just want to be still in that feeling and just see if you receive any reflections. What's your body telling you? What's your heart telling you? What intuitive glimpses might you be receiving? Okay. And then once people are still in the moment, I get them to do a lot of writing, a lot of talking and writing. Some people don't like writing. They like to talk about it. So we'll talk about that in session. Because when you're faced with a decision, say your decision is, should I leave this job or not? What's really important is that you get very clear on what are the reasons to, what are the reasons, not so much what are the reasons, I was about to say what are the reasons today, but I didn't mean that. What are you scared most of? What holds the most fear for you? And certainly to speak it, but then also to write it down. It's really critical. If you can be comfortable enough doing that, even dot points, because sometimes we get so crazy busy in our heads and so overwhelmed in our heads. Once we get it down on paper, it can feel much more manageable. You can manage that much better. So I encourage people to write down what it is they're frightened of. Okay. Once we get that down on paper, that's really important. The other thing I do then is I get people to start to consider what are their values about the topic. Okay. And then to work through, are the values that they have theirs, or do they belong to someone else? So say, for example, it's about whether to stay in a job or not, okay? And say we look at the values. So what are your values around that? It might be, or say in a relationship or whatever. Relationships are a bit more tricky, but what are your values about, say, staying in a job? So it might be, I have a strong work ethic, that the only way to get ahead in life is to maintain, you have a belief. The only way to go ahead in life is to stay and make sure you consider you have a stable, secure position where you get regular income. You know exactly what that amount's going to be, and you can relax in that. Okay, so and there's nothing wrong with any of these values. They've been working for you usually for a long time. It might be that taking a risk of leaving a job. What are your values around taking risks? I get you to look at that. And then I get you to look at what are your values about change, and how do you feel about change, and how do you normally cope with change? Now, there are a lot of people out there who don't cope well with change, but there are people who manage a bit better. So we're going to continue this conversation. We've got a break now. And continue talking about your values when making decisions. And then we'll get to the energy of it. Stay with me.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Know what to do, just can't figure out how to fit it all into your busy life? It doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Ellen Baisberg from Seamless Life. Join me every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio and learn the how of conscious living. Let me and my guests help make your life seamless.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Imagine receiving healing, vibration-raising energy as you listen to the radio. Energy that flows effortlessly to you. Imagine exploring all things metaphysical, sharing in an ongoing adventure. Join me, Karen Smoot, along with my co-hosts Lisa Victorson and Wendy Weber for Immersion into Source every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on OM Radio.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
Hi, you're listening to I Am Wisdom with Katrina Kavanagh, and on the show today we're talking about decision making. We're talking about it from both a mind work perspective and an energy work perspective. So the first section we're on now really is the mind work component of decision making. So what we're doing at the moment is just getting a cognitive understanding of what are your beliefs, what are your values around whatever it is that you're trying to make a decision about? So just continuing on from where we were. So if, for example, you were talking about change and what your values and beliefs are about change. Now, there are those of us who are comfortable with taking some risk and they're comfortable with change. There are others who are absolutely petrified of change and petrified of taking any risk. And in between those two ends of the continuum, there are a whole lot of us that sit somewhere in there. So for you to work out where it is that you fit, on that continuum, and then what are your values? What are your current values and beliefs about those things? The other thing is to then have a look at what your beliefs and values are around the actual decision-making process as well. Because if, for example, you have a value or you hold a value that good people are effective decision makers, and then your take on or your perspective on what an effective decision maker is someone who is clear and succinct and quick and decisive, and then that's your values, and then you're someone right now who's struggling and feeling unscattered and all over the place and can't make a decision, then what you're going to be doing at that point is inviting a whole lot of self-criticism, okay, because your experience isn't in alignment with your own values on what kind of person is an effective functioning person in this world around decision making. So straight away that incongruence creates a really uncomfortable feeling in your body, right? Because it's not, but really the trick is it's not so much that, you're struggling with the decision. That is the problem. The area to work on is your beliefs and values that the person who is effective and, functional in this world is a person who makes quick, clear, decisive decisions. So once you've got all these values really clear about, first of all, the way you make decisions and what are your beliefs and values about, what is a good decision maker, and then also your values about the topic or the content of the decision that you're trying to make. So again, if it's changing jobs, it might be about work ethic, it might be about change, it might be about money, it might be about, work relationships, it might be about reputation, all of those things. What I want you to do now, once you've written all those things down, all those values down and beliefs, is to go over them and say, is this mine or did this come from someone else? Okay. Now, mostly you will find that unless you've done some good work beforehand, you may find that a lot of those statements actually come from someone else. So they've come from our fathers or our mothers, grandmothers or aunties. It's come from some figure in your life. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that as long as that belief and value is working for you. You then get to ask the next question. And that question is, do I still wish to continue to have this value and belief as mine? Okay. And this is what we call growing up a little bit. This is cutting the apron strings. This is, really you defining yourself, you taking control, if you want to use those words. You're taking control of what your beliefs and values are. It's really that definition of self, away from just your own family and, family of origin system or extended family system. And look, it's absolutely okay if your beliefs and values that you have are completely from your family and they're working really well for you. But what we want to do is work out any that aren't. And once you work out the ones that aren't, it's very exciting, you get to reframe and make your own choices around changing those beliefs and values. So say, for example, and this is something I have had to do myself because I come from a family where, I was told I always wanted to be in the media and on stage in front of people and talking and all that stuff. And I was all set to go to university and study a course called Communications, one of the best here in Australia at Charles Sturt University in Bathurst. And I was all set to do that. I was so focused on it. I was in year 10, which is 2 years before the end of high school, before I would go to the college or uni. And I went up at the age of 15 or 16 and I met with the course coordinator there and had a special meeting that was arranged for me by my grandfather. So I went up and had a special meeting with him and said, look, in 2 years' time, I want to come into this course. What do I need to be doing to make sure I can get in? You know, so I'm considered a good candidate. He then gave me that information. I was absolutely prepped to follow the career of my dreams when I was spoken to by another family member that I really, really hold in high regard. And they said to me, look, do you think you need to be doing something that you know you can earn a living from? And you know, absolutely, it's important that you can earn a living. And then once you do that, you can go back to that kind of career in the media and all that kind of thing. And look, I'm very grateful to that person, very grateful, because really, and then that person said, look, Katrina, I think, you know, you'd be someone who'd be really good at helping other people, you know, based on your own life experience and things. You have a lot to offer and your nature, you've got a good nature that way. And look, I'm grateful for that, because that single comment or that single conversation really directed the course of my career. And so I did, but you can see that from that conversation, and obviously from a whole lot of role modelling as well, I picked up that a core value is you must have solid, steady work. That work needs to be in a PAYE or pay-as-you-go salary kind of position where you know each fortnight that an employer is giving you X number of dollars. So, and I did that for 22 years or 21 years. What happened for me, though, is when I finally did take the step out to be in my own business full-time, even though I knew I had an abundance of work to do, my anxiety went up through the roof. I really experienced, I have to pardon the aeroplane flying by. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Isn't that amazing? I do think aeroplanes are amazing. I'm sure you can hear it, because I can hear it really loudly, so you must be hearing it. There it goes. The miracle of aeroplanes, I mean, unbelievable. So anyway, so I'm very grateful to this person. They set the course of my life. But then when I did go forward and, you know, I stepped out of my own business, my anxiety went through the roof, not because there was any evidence that it needed to really. I mean, it's a little bit of, you know, financial interesting experiences, but it was really because I had stepped outside of my own value system, that had been handed down to me by generations of hardworking people in my family who worked as an employee with an employer. So I realise now, as I look back over the last year when I experienced all that anxiety, that that's where that came from. It wasn't about the facts of the matter. It was purely about the experience of that they were my values. So when I look at my values now, you know, they are changed, obviously. I'm here in my own private practice and business, and, you know, it's going along nicely and nicely enough. And I'm very grateful for it. But I've had to shift those values. I've had to go, you know, okay, thank you so much for my family. That set of values gave me a wonderful career for 21 years. But at this point in my life, I would like to shift my own values and say working for yourself is also very good too. And I want to talk to you about risk, because my values around risk were, even though risk is uncomfortable, I'm willing to do it. And I wanted to let you know that when I talk about risk, I don't talk about, you know, you hear people talking sometimes and they say, go and take the risk. And and all right, well, they talk about their own story and they took the risk and went out on their own business. But when you listen more closely, you hear that the risk for them was a pretty safe one, really. They may, for example, have, you know, a partner who has a high income, and so they go out in their own in the business. And look, I'm not saying it's not scary for them, but it's just degrees of, you know, what risk really is, you know. They may come from a background of wealth. They may have a lot of savings in their bank. You know, they may have a whole range of things in place, that a buffer, so that if when they go out in business on their own, they aren't really, you know, they'll be okay. They'll be okay. When I did it in the face of everything. You know, at that point in time, our children were young and my husband and I had worked out the best way forward, and we worked out the best way forward was for me to go and do what I needed to do with work and business, and he would work part-time until our youngest Kate was at school. So, he was part-time and in retail, which is, an interesting place to work. So it certainly was a risk for us. It certainly was a risk. It certainly was about, the dollars coming in provided food on the table and the roof over our heads. So it was a matter of food, shelter, clothing or not. So the risk was high. The risk was high. And my beautiful husband, despite that most frightening risk, supported me. And here I am. But it meant that whilst I was comfortable because of my values to take the risk, it was a hell of a risk, and it's paid off. It's working fine for now, and I'm great. It will continue. But I think when I look at my husband, he also has some values around risk that, whilst it's extremely uncomfortable, it's okay. But me taking those, changing my values around risk and changing my values around being in business really was a conscious choice I had to make. I'd done a lot of work on that in the 2 to 3 years prior to stepping out of my own business, just to make sure that my inner workings, my inner world was at least in place, ready for this next change. So it's that kind of thing. It's about getting really clear on your values, and just being really mindful of how they impact on how you're feeling about the decision you're making. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is your worries or fears that you have about the past and the present. We are coming up to a break, and then after the break I'm going to talk about that, and I'm actually going to step you through this amazing mindfulness technique that I've been using with my managers in management coaching that I provide in the corporate world. And so I'll be going through an exercise I've just recently been sharing with them. It's a wonderful exercise of mindfulness, and it's all about authentic decision-making and effective decision-making. So we'll be going through that, and that's about, it's a great exercise that will help you deal with your fears and thoughts about the past and the present. It will bring you into a state of awareness of the now and what's in front of you. It will bring you into the moment. And what that does is it creates this very still and nurturing place to then make a decision. So stick with me. Looking forward to continuing this conversation with you all about decision making. And I'll be sharing the energetics too. Stay with me. Bye-bye.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, you're listening to I Am Wisdom with Katrina Kavanagh. So we've been talking on today's show all about decision making, which can be a challenge for all of us. I can't think of one person on the planet who, really makes decisions easily and or doesn't have a time when some decisions sometimes are tricky. So I'm wanting. We've been going through that, and I wanted to talk to you now about the other strategy that I use with people is to become very mindful about their fears about the past and the present. Because when you are in a decision-making process, if you think about it, it's your fears about the past, perhaps the mistakes you've made in the past when you've made a decision and it's been the wrong one. It's that kind of past experience that then does contribute to, you feeling a bit stuck, taking you out of your rational brain and moving you down into the primitive part of your brain where you're going to fight, flight, freeze or submit, because the thought of making that wrong decision, as you may have done in the past, can really, really take away your confidence in being able to make a decision now, today, in your present moment. So that's the way the past really impacts on us. Additionally, from the past, you may have received messages from family and your family of origin where, you're not a good decision. You can't rely on someone. You can't rely on, this is not one of the ones for me, but just saying, you can't rely on Katrina. She can't make a good decision. That is not, I repeat, that is one of the areas of my life where I haven't had to work on. Whew, that's not good. But, for some people it's like that. So it's some of those messages we've gotten about our value and our worth and our capacity to make decisions in things that our loved ones have either said or not said that we receive then as a message about our capacity to make decisions. So that stuff can really play with your confidence, okay? So that's how the past impacts on the moment of making a decision now. The future impacts on it because we're worried about what's going to happen. We're worried about, okay, well, if I make this decision, what will be the outcome? What if it's wrong? What if I create something in the future because of this wrong decision I'm making now? And that's scary. That can be very frightening, relatively speaking. So it's we can get really stuck in the present because we're being affected both cognitively and energetically. Let's acknowledge that. We've got our own cognitive, so our mind, our thought processes going on, our memories, okay, but we also have a physical experience of that, which is the energetic experience of that. So the imprint of the trickiness or the difficulty that you felt when you made a not so great decision before, and then the challenge that you have and the fears you have about, your worries about the future, that all has an energetic component as well. So I'm going to share with you an exercise, and we're going to step through this now over the next 5 to 10 minutes. And this is an exercise that its focus is mindfulness. This is not mine. I did not create it. I can't give you the reference, the source of who did. I've just seen a similar theme just online, and I've just, of course, created my own adaptation of it. So I always like to reference it. I don't like to pretend things are mine when they're not. But the concept of, visualizing a conveyor belt, which is a component of this exercise, that doesn't belong to me, and I will not be taking creative recognition for it. It's an effective visualization nonetheless. So what I can do is I'm going to take you through that, and this will show you both cognitively and energetically how to shift away from those things, okay? And then, shift away from those things and just get really focused on the now, okay? So what I want you to do is, before we go into this, I want you to think of a decision that you're trying to make at the moment that you're having difficulty with. If you've got a big one, I'd encourage you to leave that for now and focus on an easier one. Or go with a big one, whatever you're ready for. Sometimes it's good to start when you're practicing this technique with an easier one so you can feel the effectiveness of it and then move on to a bigger decision, okay? Let me know. So let's begin by taking a really deep breath. And then another one. Now, I want you to bring into your awareness an area of your life that you're struggling with at the moment, a decision that you need to make, that at the moment you just feel perhaps slightly challenged by, completely challenged by, or maybe even overwhelmed by. Okay. So as you are thinking about that decision, I want you to be using your powerful imagination to also see yourself standing in this enormous warehouse space. As you stand there, you look around and you're completely mindful and aware that you are safe, that this is a safe place, I want you to feel cozy and warm, and I want you to feel still. Before your eyes, a conveyor belt materializes. This is a long, long, long conveyor belt, and as you look up ahead of you, it goes off, you cannot see where it ends, and as you look down the other way, and now I've got a helicopter, keep with me. As you look down the other way, you can't see where it ends. And you're standing, I want you to see yourself standing beside the conveyor belt. This conveyor belt is moving at an even pace, not too fast, not too slow. And I just want you to notice the rhythm of the conveyor belt as it travels to you, passes by you, and then continues on way past you. Once again, just become aware of your breathing. And when you're ready, think of this dilemma, this situation that you're trying to solve and make a decision about. Right. What I want you to see now is I want you to see your thoughts and your fears and your worries and your feelings traveling along to you, up ahead toward you on the conveyor belt. You might see your thoughts and feelings as certain colours and shapes, textures. You might see words, you might see images. There's no right or wrong way. Just allow yourself to see travelling along, way up ahead, coming towards you on the conveyor belt, all your thoughts, feelings and worries about this decision that you need to make. As you observe them, just notice that you are separate, that you are standing on the side of the conveyor belt, and that those fears and worries and feelings just come along to you, pass you by, and continue onwards in the other direction. For they are travelling on a conveyor belt that is separate from you and that is not you. Allow yourself to see yourself as this calm, mindful presence that is safe, secure, and just able to observe all your thoughts and feelings and worries as they go past you and onwards beyond you. You're just watching them approach, go past, and continue onwards. As you observe them, notice just how calm you feel and at peace, and know that these thoughts and feelings are not yours. They are just very separate from you. Now, energetically, I want you to be aware that as you're standing there and witnessing the thoughts and feelings and worries travel towards you on the conveyor belt, pass you by, and continue onwards, that they hold their own separate, unique ball of energy. Each one singly has its own energy form. And know that that energy is not you. It has nothing to do with you. It belongs to that thought. It belongs to that feeling, belongs to that worry. And all of those things are separate to you. I wish for you to see now and feel the presence of your angel friends, your spirit guides, your loved ones in spirit, God, the universe, whatever way you wish to refer to the great consciousness. Just feel the energy of that all around you, around your back. And just notice the stillness and the peace that you are. You are calm, you are restful, and you are wise. And it's from this place that I wish you now to consider how you might make that decision. And it's from this place that I wish for you to bring this awareness of yourself, this stillness, this peace, this power, this wisdom, this knowing, back into your awareness of yourself now. And with 2 deep breaths, I'm going to bring you back, come back to now, to the place that you are. Breathing in and out, and in and out. Now, just be aware of how you're feeling. Is it good? Is it peaceful? This is the real you. This is the real you that is capable of making every and any decision that you need to. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this. Talk to you soon.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, you're listening to I Am Wisdom, and it's Katrina Kavanagh here. I hope you found so far the show to be of use to you, and I hope particularly that last exercise, which is an exercise I use in the corporate world with management coaching and with clients too, I guess. It's a great exercise to really get yourself separate from your fears and worries and your thoughts and feelings, so that you can see that you are separate, connect with that really wise, still part of yourself, and from that place, make your decisions. Okay, make your decisions. So I hope that that was helpful, and you really enjoyed being in that very calm, still place. Okay. The other thing that I would talk to you about is doing all you can to develop an active relationship with your spiritual team. And by your spiritual team, I'm talking about your spirit guides, your loved ones in spirit, the angels, God or the universe itself. Just all that is available to you energetically. I have a very active relationship with them, and really every day I'm in communication one way or another, usually saying, could you give me guidance on this? What do you think about that? Blah, blah, blah. You're all obviously in consultation with clients, and sometimes getting cross and going, what were you thinking? Why did that happen? And all that kind of stuff. So, I have a very active relationship with mine, and I'd encourage you to develop an active relationship with your own spiritual team. If you'd like some information if you'd like to develop that part of yourself and you'd like some coaching on that, then certainly that's part of what I offer people. And I'm happy to offer that to you. And so if you'd like more information on that or any other aspect of working with me, then I'd encourage you to pop on over to my website, which is katrinakavanagh.com. So that's Katrinakavanagh.com. You can also catch me on my Facebook page, which is a wonderful place that I like to share lots of things, and that's facebook.com/Katrina Kavanagh with that funny spelling, Cavaноugh. And also I have an account on Instagram, which I'm slowly getting into it. I want to be into it more, but I've got to get my head around how to use it a little bit more. But I'd love you to join me there. And that is, my Instagram name is _Katrina Kavanagh. Twitter as well. I've got a funny name on Twitter, and it's Kat Kavanagh 777. So I'd love for you to join me. Please, join me. If you like this show, I'd love for you to let someone else know. That's a very good idea, so that they may pick it up as a podcast or listen live. I'm just speaking with the OMTimes community now and getting some of my previous shows up online, because we're missing a couple, but they're doing that for me as we speak, so I'm very grateful to them for that. That's how you can connect with me. For the last part of the show today, what I'm thinking about doing is finishing off with another little meditation, because I think that, I would like to focus this meditation on healing. I work in the area of healing people, and certainly this last week I've had to do a lot of, had to give myself a lot of attention in healing, because what I began to say to you at the beginning of the show was that, I've been working and taking the herbal remedies, and I've been setting intentions about healing myself. I've been setting intentions of clearing away some of the trauma that I pick up along the way vicariously from working with my clients who had such horrendous trauma history, some of them. And so I've been, taking herbs, and so what actually has happened is that I've had this overwhelming experience of this week. It's been quite an anxious week. I've had lots of anxiety. Haven't had this kind of anxiety for a long, long, long time. And so it's been interesting. The other thing that's happening is I've got a couple of clients at the moment who are working with really debilitating phobias, and I really feel for them. And I did actually set the intention that I wanted to do all I could to be of service to those people. And I'm determined to absolutely help them heal. So at the same time, it was kind of interesting, because at the same time I'm having my own experience of some anxiety and phobia-related experiences. And what that's done is made me be very connected and even more determined, even though I was already, to be of service. And I'm getting to practice what I preach. Getting to practice all the strategies, which I always do. Every single strategy I give someone else, I've always tried them on myself first. So it's, you know, where I can. Obviously, if I'm talking about blended families, I haven't got a blended family to practice that on. So, you know, we're in some relationship advice, but a lot of the individual work, or pretty much 99.9% of the individual work I give people, you know, I've practiced it on myself at some time or other. Now, practicing it on myself when I'm experiencing a small to moderate amount of anxiety is very different to practicing it on myself when I'm experiencing a high degree of anxiety. So, you know, here I am. This week's been the most anxious I've been in about, maybe 20 years. It's pretty impressive. And it came out of nowhere, so that was interesting. I understand the herbs are bringing up any unresolved things that do need healing. So here we are, it's all here. And I'm in the state of really nurturing myself. So this week I've been eating somewhat healthy. I have gone and had some acupuncture, which was wonderful. And I've got, as we speak, some leave-in little needles in my elbows for my immune system, and a couple in my ears to slow me down a little, which is nice. I'm off today I've been doing a lot of meditation, a lot of breath work. And one of the things I noticed this morning was I just needed to run. I needed to move my body. I needed to touch the planet. And this is the experience I'm having at the moment, where I'm really healing and releasing and experiencing. So, you know, I had a wonderful opportunity after I dropped my girls to school. So I went down on the beach barefooted and ran like the wind, and walked and ran and walked and ran. Not for a long time, because I'm not going to want to hurt my body, for about 15 minutes. That's a good start when you haven't been doing much for a while. And I ran, and it was beautiful and wonderful, and I was listening to my body the whole time, and I loved it, every single step. And then now when I finish this show, I'm off to have a little mini massage. Now, these are all experiences that, and I have my husband looking after me and doing wonderful things like running me, you know, baths so I come home from work and there's beautiful candles around in a bath. And so lots of nurturing of me and my body and my mind, you know, because my mind's had a tough time this week. So I'm very grateful to have the awareness that I have. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to practice some of what I preach at this point in my life. I know that this will pass, as it is already passing. And I always am open to sharing with people, you know, what it is I am experiencing, because for me, when I work with you, I want you to know that I'm authentic. Not authentic as in when you come and see me, I'll be talking to you like this about my experience, because my experience in that moment is absolutely superfluous, in that my focus is you and being of service to you and bringing all my knowledge and skills that I have, plus my compassion and my absolute deep desire to be of service to you, to that moment with you. I am grateful, though, that, you know, I believe that me experiencing various things does bring an authenticity to the way I connect with you. Not that I would ever say that I would know your experience, because one person never knows another person's experience, even if they've experienced it themselves, because we have our own unique perspective, which is, you know, built around our own stories and experiences and viewpoints and lenses that we see things. So it's always a bit different for every single person. So I never say to someone I know how they feel, because I don't. I only know how I've felt, and I know how other people I've borne witness to, you know, hundreds through thousands of accounts from people of their own experiences. And it's from that body of knowledge that I draw from when I am sitting there and being of service to you. I still like the way that I do believe all of that gives me an authenticity, and it certainly gives me a desire and compassion to be of service to you and with you. So I'm lucky, right? I'm lucky. So this week will be, I'm hoping that next week when I speak to you, I'll be saying, woof, that was a crazy ride, and the anxiety settled a little. It has settled a little bit, thank goodness. And, you know, I'm still functioning, still doing all my work, still being of service to lots of people and buzzing around. But at the same time, I'm needing to insert moments of care. And that's what I've been doing. So my wish for you this week, everyone, is that you experience nurturing for yourself, nurturing for your mind, nurturing for your body, And whether it's a warm bath or a walk along the beach, or just gazing into candlelight or breathing, using breath to shift feelings, all of that is available to you. All of that is available to you, okay? And it's my desire for you that you prioritise and set the time to have that. I also hope that my talk to you today has been helpful with decision making as well. Next week we were going to be having a special guest, but we've had to reschedule beautiful Kerry to a few more weeks. She's been unwell, so she needs a bit of nurturing. Her body needs a bit of attention, so she's gone off to do that. But next week we're going to be talking all about the power of the moon. I've just written an article on this on Balance by Deborah Hutton. So it's Balance by deborahhutton.com.au. If you have a look there, you'll see it. It's absolutely delightful, the response I've had to this article. People are really excited about it. So I thought that I would spend time talking about the phases of the moon and the way I work with the moon's energy to manifest and create amazing things in my life. So I am really looking forward to bringing to you that show. As I said, the OMTimes team are working very hard to get some of my previous articles up for you, shows up for you, so you can listen to them as podcasts, and so they should be up for you soon. So wherever you are, I wish you the best ever week, best health, best sleep, best experiences, and the most delightful, delightful life. Take care. Bye-bye.